And I was a little upset because what I really wanted was a little Toyota.
Working, big surprise there. Dang! Start out where you and Grandpa got the Elcamino from.
Well, I wasn't there when Dad got the Elcamino because he bought it for me for Christmas when I turned 16 years old. And I was a little upset because what I really wanted was a little Toyota pickup I could run around in, and he brought that home instead. And we lived quite a ways outside of town, so it used a lot of gas, you know. And I was, just after I got the Elcamino, me and some friends of mine, we went and TP'd another friend of mine's house, toilet papered it, and so Mom and Dad, in their wisdom, didn't think I was mature enough to have the Elcamino yet, so they made me wait till I was 18 years old before I could put that car on the road. So me and my dad spent a couple years working on it, but I didn't get to drive it till I was in high school still, but I was 18 before I was allowed to drive the car. I had to sit there and stare at it for 2 years. And he bought it in DeVore, California, which was probably maybe 30 miles away from where we lived at the time. And it had a 396 in it, and we did a bunch of work to get it running, and we got it all put together. Everything was running great, and Dad decided to take it for its initial little drive, and he took it around the corner and maybe 50 feet away from where we were getting it running in our driveway out in California, and it blew up. So we came to find out that the oil pump rod for a small block Chevy and a big block Chevy is about 1/8 of an inch different in length. And that was enough, so when the car started getting some RPMs to it and that pump rod started spinning faster, it spun up off of the oil pump and kaboom. And so that was, and I'm still a kid at this time, of course, but that was a major disaster, and Dad was so upset by it, he kind of blamed himself a little bit. So there was a store called Auto Giant in San Bernardino, California, closing down, and everything in the store was 50% off. And they had the 454 Target motor that's in the car now, in a crate, sitting there. And I think we gave $1,800 for it or something, and it was half price, so it was a good deal at the time. And put this stupid thing together, and the car ran great. Now the 396 that blew up, actually, your father and I pulled that motor down and rebuilt the whole motor. And I don't remember, we advertised it on Craigslist or something, and this guy had a jet ski, and he offered to trade me the jet ski for the rebuilt 396, and I was like, yeah, because we lived pretty close to a lake and stuff. Anyway, long story short, made the trade. Don't know whatever happened to the motor, but it was, as far as I know, the original numbers matching motor to the car. And had a jet ski, never rode the jet ski, ended up leaving it somewhere when I changed jobs or something. And so now it's a SS454, I guess, not a 396.
And I have a lot of people in California watching. If you traded him for that jet ski, I'd like to get in contact with you. So.
Yeah, he was going to put it in a boat. And then he called me complaining that he had to rebuild the whole thing again or something because it wasn't right for the boat. I don't remember, but sure wish I would have held on to that motor.
There's lots of comments about the Emerson heads. Erson's heads.
Erson, the valve covers, yeah.
Yeah, valve covers.
On that car. Well, there used to be a store called Super Shops in California, and this was back before, this was back before even so much as AutoZone, or I don't think they have O'Reilly's in California, but you would have been able to choose maybe from Pep Boys back then or Super Shops, but Super Shops was actually a hot rod shop, and they had you could walk in and all the chrome was on the shelves all through the store, and it was pretty cool. And they ended up closing down, and but a lot of the shiny stuff on that Elcamino and some of the internal stuff all came from super shops. And I actually believe it's been some years later, but I also have all the old nut and bolt bins out of that old super shops. So
That's where those came from?
that's where those came from, yeah.
Well, I also noticed the valve cover, or the oil pan, is also shiny and chrome. I thought that was probably the same place
It probably was.
that came from.
Before the internet, you couldn't just buy an oil pan on the internet. You had to go looking for one.
In that Elcamino, I found an old magazine from the 80s with every Nova part you could ever want.
Yeah, I believe it.
In that car.
Yeah, I believe it.
There's a whole magazine, and it's dated like 1985.
I drove that Nova. I did get to drive that Nova for a little while in my high school, but I didn't get to drive the Elcamino.
The Elcamino, when you guys repainted it, how'd that go?
Oh, I don't know.
Was it blue whenever you got it?
It was blue when I got it, and so I decided I wanted to keep it blue, and then I picked out an IROC Blue out of like a '86 Camaro, and went with that color. And I don't know, I'm not a big fan of blue on cars,
Yeah.
so been thinking about changing the color.
That's gonna hurt a lot of people's feelings. Everybody on the comments said that blue was the most beautiful color they've ever seen.
But if it was a black on black car originally, that's what it needs to go back to.
And that's what the code shows. I'll put the code, or the VIN plate, the data plate. I'll put it down here in this corner over here, so and you guys can decipher it for yourselves. But what we know, it was an original SS3, or well, not SS, but we know it was an original 396 car. We know it was originally black on black. We know there was like 300,000 of those cars made, and this is towards the end of that. And there was something else I figured out, but I don't remember it right now. So
Factory 4
oh,
speed,
it was custom ordered is also on that data plate.
and this is a factory 12 bolt rear end in this car too. 12 bolt posi.
Yeah, the Nova is too.
And the Nova also,
Nova,
yeah.
Yep. So the Nova actually has an M21 Rock Crusher Muncie in it. So, and I don't know which one's in the Elcamino yet.
I believe it's an M22.
So,
I'm not positive, but I think it's an M22.
but the Novas I had out, we're going to be pulling that transmission pretty quick to put a new clutch in it. That clutch, it just stinks. It wouldn't spin the tires when I was trying to do the video for that.
Poor old car.
So, that old clutch. You said that engine only had just not very many miles
It's
on
got
it.
less than 10,000 miles, and probably a lot less. I think once I got it going, my dad actually drove it more than I did because it's really fun to drive, and he knew how to drive it.
So, it's been fun working on it.
And I have held on to that car since I was 16 years old. I'm 46 now, so
40 years.
40 years. Oh my God, that is no.
Yeah.
30 years.
Oh, you're 46. Yeah, 30 years. So 30 years, still a long time. So, but Grandpa promised me that Nova when I was 3 years old.
Yeah.
I was 3 years old when my grandpa promised me the Nova, and now I finally got it. So
Yeah.
It's been a.
That Nova runs like.
And that Nova only has like 60,000 miles on it, but that's what's on the odometer. That's not what's on the engine, because Grandpa pulled that engine out and put a Corvette engine in it for a long time.
Yeah,
So.
he used to pull the motor out. It seemed like every weekend he'd pull the motor out of that car and clean the whole engine bay and put the motor back in.
Well, I will have lots of time to talk to Roy. He's home off his work. He was in Virginia for several weeks, and they called him home after this coronavirus deal, and now the 14 days is up and I can see him again. So he traveled all the way across America to come back home, and so I didn't want to see him because you don't know if he had it or not.
Yeah.
So, but he's finally home. So if you guys have any more questions, you can comment. My email is in the description of every video. Every video I do, my email's in it. So if you want to contact me, if you want to send me stuff, contact me. And we're going to be trying to get this Elcamino done right. I went over it the other day, and I think I counted 4 dents on the entire car. So.
Oh, and anybody who would doubt whether the old Elcamino is a true super sport or not, I can't say one way or the other because it doesn't actually say on the VIN tag. But when I was young, I pulled put new carpet in it, and when I pulled all the old carpet out, there was a build sheet under the carpet in there, and it said Super Sport trim package. It said right on that build sheet, but I was so dumb I put it right back where it was, thinking like keep it original sort of a thing. And also, when I start sanding on it, you'll find that it's got every hole in it ready to take the SS emblems where they're supposed to go.
And I also had somebody ask me about why did you fill in the lights on the front.
Yeah, well, basically because I like they kind of break up the body line a little bit. They didn't have them in 68, but they did in 69, and I liked how it looked a little bit better. And I was into custom stuff too. So. And
a lot of you pointed out that's a 68 front bumper on there, and we looked and we didn't know there was a difference until
I never knew there was a difference
until we pulled up online, and I guess the only difference is the holes are longer on the 69 than it is the 68. The openings were between the license plate. So, and that was the only difference that I saw whenever I was looking online. So I will be buying a 69 front end for it, the grill, all the trim pieces, and the 69 bumper. So the front bumper on that is just a little bit tweaked, or else I wouldn't care and I'd keep the 68.
The other day on eBay, I saw a 1969 Elcamino tailgate that was an SS, or at least it says SS on it, and it's got chrome trim across the back of it in an area like 6 or 8 inches wide for the 2 colors. And they want $299 for that. I thought, man, I don't know. I guess I haven't looked at them that close, but I don't remember they're having the backup lights right in the tailgate, and that's where it had them on that car, on that tailgate. But.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's sure a fun car to drive. I tell you what, that was probably one of the most fun things that I've done in a long time was driving that car.
Yeah.
Because ever since I was little, I remember looking at that car and thinking, man, that'd be fun to drive.
I remember, I mean, that thing will throw you sideways going into 3rd gear. It will. You got to drive that car.
The only one that would remember ever riding in that car would have been Crystalline. So, because I asked Leah, these are my brothers and sisters, I asked Leah if she ever remembered riding in it, and she said she didn't, but Crystal, I remember her saying that she had rode in it.
Yeah, she did.
Crystal rode in that car, and I think it'll be real neat to get all my brothers and sisters to be able to go for a ride in that car because it's been around all of our lives.
Yeah.
So
been sitting on a cinder block.
So that car and the Nova and the Camaro,
and
Daniel's Camaro.
Yeah.
Camaro's been around for a long time too. So the Nova and the Elcamino and the Camaro are the original 3 that our family had. And
this one's only been around for a few years.
Yeah. So this one, it came out of the town we were just in.
And if anybody out there's got the E that goes right here,
and the C,
I need one.
and the C and the T.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we need a lot of pieces for this car too. So we're gonna need a lot of interior pieces on this car.
But this car's gonna be pretty custom. So I mean, we're gonna weld up a lot of the trim holes and stuff.
Well, we're gonna need a lot of the trim pieces. I noticed the entire instrument cluster was gone out of it.
And I'm hoping it's got a real long-legged rear end where it just rides like a boat down the highway.
Yeah, the rear end of that Elcamino, by the way, he was telling me it had
411s, I believe.
yeah. So, anyways,
it's I know you could do 65 miles per hour is 2,800 RPM in that Elcamino. I do remember that. So it's pretty low geared. I mean, you could watch the gas gauge just.
I think it gets like 4 miles a gallon. I've burnt through most of the 10 gallons I've put in it just in the short few drives that we've done. I've only done one other drive without you guys, and it's been with my wife and my 2 kids, and we went down the road maybe 2 miles and back. So and my wife does not like it. She says it'll get her car sick. So, but and I opened up the 4 barrels for her too. Don't worry. So, so she doesn't like to be on camera. So, anyways, we appreciate you guys watching, and we'll talk to you next time.